Last but not least, today we're going to start discussing Flowers for Algernon. This is a short story by Daniel Keyes, and it is a science fiction story. It's one of my favorite short stories that we read, simply based on the sensitive nature of the topic and how apprehensive we are to discuss things like this with our peers and our friends. So this story is told through a series of progress reports written by the main character, Charlie Gordon. And it touches on ethical and moral themes, such as the treatment of the mentally disabled. So how on earth would this connect with our theme of windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors? Well, as we read, we're going to consider the nature of knowledge and the human desire to seek self-improvement. All of us want to get better, whether it's at a video game or at a talent or with our academics. We are always striving to get better at something. And while reading, we're going to explore what we learn about ourselves through our interactions and our treatments of others. This is going to be your mirror. How do you connect with either Charlie Gordon, the main character, or the other characters in the story? So this is going to be broken up into 7 parts. Today we're going to begin with part 1, and that's going to cover progress reports 1 through 8. 8 has many different dates in it, so this is going to include March 25th, and it's going to stop there. And if you're listening, it's going to stop around time marker 1528. So you'll see below, I have the text and I have the audio available for you. It is vital to read along with this because of the way that the story is written. So you can use the split screen feature on your iPad to go ahead and bring up the text along with the audio. For now, today, I'm going to read to you the story. So Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Progress Report 1, March 5th, 1965. Mr. Strauss says I should write down what I think and everything that happens to me from now on. I don't know why, but he says it's important, so they will see if they will use me. I hope they use me. Miss Kinnian says maybe they can make me smart. I want to be smart. My name is Charlie Gordon. I am 37 years old, and 2 weeks ago was my birthday. I have nothing more to write now, so I will close for today. So you see from the first progress report, you know that his name is Charlie Gordon. You know he's 37 years old. And if you notice how he writes phonetically. So he writes the way things sound to him, like should, S-H-U-D. So we can assume that he says, Miss Kinnian says, maybe they can make me smart. I want to be smart. So you know that he has a desire to be smarter than he already is. Progress of report 2, March 6th. I had a test today. I think I failed it. And I think that maybe now they won't use me. What happened is a nice young man was in the room and he had some white cards with ink spilled all over them. He said, Charlie, what do you see on this card? I was very scared, even though I had my rabbit's foot in my pocket, because when I was a kid, I always failed tests in school, and I spilled ink too. So you see here, he's superstitious. He carries a rabbit's foot. His sentence structure, there really isn't any. He has no correct grammar or punctuation. I told him I saw an ink blot. He said yes, and it made me feel good. I thought that was all, but when I got up to go, he stopped me. He said, now sit down, Charlie. We are not through yet. Then I don't remember so good, but he wanted me to say what was in the ink. I didn't see nothing in the ink, but he said there was pictures there. Other people saw pictures. I couldn't see any pictures. I really tried to see. I held the card close up and then far away. Then I said if I had my glasses, I could see better. I usually only wear my glasses in the movies or TV, but I said they're in the closet in the hall. I got them. Then I said, let me see that card again. I'll bet I'll find it now. I tried hard, but I still couldn't find the pictures. I only saw the ink. I told him maybe I need new glasses. He wrote something down on a paper and I got scared of failing the test. I told him it was a very nice ink blot with little points all around the edges. He looked very sad, so that wasn't it. I said, please let me try again. I'll get it in a few minutes because I'm not so fast sometimes. I'm a slow reader too in Miss Kinion's class for slow adults, but I'm trying very hard. So again, we learn more and more about Charlie Gordon as his progress reports go on. We learn that he's in a school for adults, that he tries to learn, that he has this deep desire to be successful. We also know that he clearly doesn't have very much of an imagination. He gave me a chance with another card that had 2 kinds of ink spilled on it, red and blue. He was very nice and talked slow like Miss Kinion does, and he explained it to me that it was a raw shock. He said people see things in the ink. I said, show me where. He said, think. I told him, I think a ink blot, but that wasn't right either. He said, what does it remind you? Pretend something. I closed my eyes for a long time to pretend. I told him I pretend a fountain pen with ink leaking all over the tablecloth. Then he got up and went out. I don't think I passed the Rorschach test. So guys, a Rorschach test is, those ink blots, and they say, what do you see? There's pictures in them. So that was in the 60s. It was a very popular way of testing someone's intelligence. And there's different Rorschach tests that you can take online as well. Dr. Strauss and Progress Report 3, March 7th. Dr. Strauss and Dr. Niemer says, it don't matter about the ink blots. I told them I didn't spill the ink on the cards and I couldn't see anything in the ink. They said that maybe they will still use me. I said, Miss Kinion never get me tests like that. Only spelling and reading. They said Miss Kinion told that I was her best pupil in the adult night school because I tried the hardest and I really wanted to learn. They said, how come you went to adult night school all by yourself, Charlie? How did you find it? I said, I asked people and somebody told me where I should go to learn to read and spell good. They said, why did you want to? I told them because all my life I wanted to be smart and not dumb. But it's very hard to be smart. They said, it will probably be temporary. I said, yes. Miss Kinion told me, I don't care if it hurts. So at this point, we're not really sure what he's talking about to make him smart, but we know that doctors are involved. Later, I had more crazy tests today. The nice lady who gave it to me told me the name and I asked her how do you spell it so I can write it in my progress report. Thematic apperception test. I don't know the first 2 words, but I know what test means. You got to pass it or you get bad marks. This test looked easy because I could see the pictures. Only this time she didn't want me to tell her the pictures. That mixed me up. I said the man yesterday said I should tell him what I saw in the ink, and she said that don't make no difference. She said make up stories about the people in the pictures. I told her, how can you tell stories about people you never met? I said, why should I make up lies? I never tell lies anymore because I always get caught. She told me this test and the other one, the Rorschach, was for getting personality. I laughed so hard. I said, how can you get that thing from ink blots and photos? She got sore and put her pictures away. I don't really care. It was silly. I guess I failed that test too. So again, guys, remember in your journal last week, I had you look at a picture of someone and I had you make up a story about them, their life story, and told you to tell me about them. There was a reason for that. This is exactly what Charlie was asked to do. And some of you were confused and you were like, I don't get it. I don't know their name. I don't know where they're from. But that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know, can you make that up? Can you imagine that in your mind? And Charlie has a problem doing that. He says, no, I can't lie. That would be a lie. I don't really know them. Later, some men in white coats took me to a different part of the hospital and gave me a game to play. It was like a race with a white mouse. They called the mouse Algernon. Algernon was in a box with a lot of twists and turns like all kinds of walls, and they gave me a pencil and a paper with lines and lots of boxes. On one side it said start, and on the other end it said finish. They said it was amazed, and that Algernon and me had the same amazed to do. I didn't see how we could have the same amazed if Algernon had a box and I had a paper, but I didn't say nothing. Anyway, there wasn't time because the race started. One of the men had a watch and he was trying to hide so I wouldn't see. and so I wouldn't see it. So I tried not to look, and that made me nervous. Anyway, the test made me feel worser than all the others because they did it over 10 times with different amazes, and Algernon won every time. I didn't know that mice were so smart. Maybe that's because Algernon is a white mouse. Maybe white mice are smarter than other mice. So again, this right here, this statement right here can be interpreted many different ways. In the 1960s, maybe the fact that Algernon is white makes him smarter in Charlie's mind, and that's very much a race, a racial sign of the times. And maybe that Algernon being a white mouse makes him smarter than the other mice, but he wasn't thinking about how that would have made him smarter than him. Progress Report 4, March 8th. They're going to use me. I'm so excited I can hardly write. Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss had an argument about it first. Dr. Niemer was in the office when Dr. Strauss brought me in. Dr. Niemer was worried about using me, but Dr. Strauss told Miss Kinnian, recommended me the best from all the people who she was teaching. I like Miss Kinnian because she is a very smart teacher. And she said, Charlie, you're going to have a second chance. If you volunteer for this experiment, you might get smart. I don't know if it will be permanent, but there's a chance. That's why I said okay, even when I was scared, because she said it was an operation. She said, don't be scared, Charlie. You've done so much with so little. I think you deserve it most of all. So this is explaining how he became the perfect candidate for this operation to make him smarter, because he is so determined and he is so driven and he has that self-desire to become better. So I got scared when Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss argued about it. Dr. Strauss said I had something that was very good. He said I had good motivation. I never even knew I had that. I felt proud when he said that not everybody with an IQ of 68 had that thing. I don't know what it is or where I got it, but he said Algernon had it too. Algernon's motivation is the cheese they put in his box. But it can't be that because I didn't eat any cheese this week. Again, this right here shows you how low Charlie is and how his understanding of the world and how it works is not what normal people, how they view things. So he knows that Algernon's motivation is cheese, but that can't be his because he didn't eat any cheese this week. Those two things don't go together, so it doesn't make sense. Again, an IQ of 68, that is incredibly low. If you look up normal IQs, we'll discuss that in class tomorrow. But just keep in mind that he has an IQ of 68, and that is very low. Then he told Dr. Niemer something I didn't understand, so while they were talking, I wrote down some of the words. He said, Dr. Niemer, I know Charlie is not what you had in mind as the first of your new breed of intellect. Couldn't get the word. Superman. But most people of his low men are hust and uncoup. They are usually dull, apath, and hard to reach. He has a good nature. He's interested and eager to please. So basically what he was saying was a new breed of intellect, but most people of his low mentality are hostile and uncooperative. They are usually dull, apathetic, and hard to teach. So people with low IQs, low mentality, are usually hostile and uncooperative. They don't want to cooperate with you, but Charlie was very cooperative. Dr. Niemer said, remember, he will be the first human being ever to have his intelligence tripled by surgical means. Dr. Strauss said, exactly. Look at how well he's learned to read and write for his low mental age. And it's as great an achievement as you and I learning Einstein's theory of, so it's say relativity, without help. That shows the intense motivation. It's comparative, a tremendous achievement. Oh, I say we use Charlie. I didn't get all the words, and they were talking so fast, but it sounded like Dr. Strauss was on my side, and like the other one wasn't. Then Dr. Niemer nodded. He said, all right, maybe you're right. We will use Charlie. When he said that, I got so excited I jumped up and shook his hand for being so good to me. I told him, "Thank you, Doc. You won't be sorry for giving me a second chance." And I mean it like I told him.